I think we're starting to see a trend of careers that are trending back towards the workforce of the unions and the construction and the iron workers and all the people that are represented here tonight, because a lot of that workforce is actually getting older and retiring, and we're starting to see that trend going in that way. Plus, there's a lot of kids that sometimes can't afford going to these higher end types or any type of school because they're coming out with a lot of debt. And when you come in and see these programs that you only have to pay a couple $100 for an apprenticeship program and then you're right to work within a month or two, I think that's a program that a lot of kids can actually sink their teeth into. Actually, they're a lot of hands-on, and I think that's what a lot of kids like to do.
For the Career Trends and Job Opportunities evening, we have several great presenters. Featured is Matt Smith, Pennsylvania State Senator, 37th Senatorial District; John Mascaro Jr., President and CEO of Mascaro Construction; Jason Fink, Executive Director, Builders Guild of Western PA, and he represents all 17 trades; Rick Okraszewski, Ricky O, as we call him, and he is director of the Carpenter's Apprenticeship Program; Jim Gallick, director of the Apprenticeship Ironworker Local Union Number 3; Keith Shetler, training coordinator, Sheet Metal Workers Local Number 12; James Kirsch, he is the organizer for the Steamfitters Local Union Number 449; Kurt Keller, Apprenticeship Training Director, Bricklayers and Allied Crafts Local Number 9; and Ron Stefaniak, Training Director, Cement Masons Local Number 526.
We have right around 1,700 students at the high school. We've opened this up to all of our students, grades 9 through 12, and invited their parents to attend as well, because we really want the kids to start talking to their parents about what they enjoy doing and what they're really interested in for after high school as well. We've also really targeted our students who do attend Steel Center already, and actually had them in for an assembly where Mrs. Smith discussed with them the importance of this night and coming out to hear what the different unions have to say.
We also actually went into the tech programs here, the tech school programs here with like Bill Wells, who does introduction to wood and woodworking full-year credit class, and he actually has been promoted within his classes and all the tech ed classes here in the school too. So a lot of those kids know as well. The other thing I think we want to talk about too is to get the word out to the parents that it's okay that your kid might not want to go to a college or a four-year school, because these programs, they do pay well down the road, and it's a viable career to actually pursue.
No, I think this area is really becoming more prevalent now because of the Marcellus Shale and the gas industry. Just today I was talking to some kids about this field, and I think since that came into western Pennsylvania, I think that really has brought to light this particular area.
Earlier in the year, the school did host a Marcellus Shale presentation. So although this is the first time that we are actually holding multiple unions in one place, there was the presentation earlier in the year emphasizing the movement towards Marcellus Shale. Because a lot of students don't want to necessarily move out of this area, but if you're not coming out of college with a degree that you can necessarily use in this area, these are some options that are right here in Pennsylvania and can keep you close to your family as well.
The Bureau of Labor Statistics, if you look at their website, which is ONET, or the Occupational Outlook Handbook, they will list all the different trends and the growing trends and showing where the growth is. And in the types of jobs in the skilled trades, there is a large growth from 20% to 29% and even higher in some areas. And there are types of jobs such as construction management where you can incorporate college along with that. Some of the trade unions do give credits for community college, and kids can move into management and so forth. But really, we're looking for students to get placed and to start earning money, healthcare, good wages while they're training. And for a lot of our students, our population is very diverse. Single-parent families, lower-income families where they just would not have the funds to support their child going to even a community college. So we are, again, a very, very diverse population at Bethel Park. The administration here has been very supportive. The school board has been very supportive of all of our efforts to try to include this type of a program. So we appreciate that.
The counseling department does believe in this program and these jobs that are out there, that they're really good quick job placements and careers for the rest of these kids' lives.
Good evening. My name is Lori Smith, and I am the 9th grade counselor here at Bethel Park High School. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to come out this evening to talk about the career trends and where the jobs are. And we really hope to give you an enlightening evening, lots of great information, and hope you enjoy the presentation.
Hi, my name is Jason Fink. I'm the executive director of what's called the Builders Guild of Western Pennsylvania. And first of all, I want to thank you all for coming tonight. I want to thank Rick Okrashevsky. From this point on, he's known as Ricky O, for helping arrange tonight. And I know he had some help from Bethel Park, Lori, and several others. Ricky, you can give them the credit when you come up to the podium. But I want to thank Bethel Park for hosting us here tonight. You know, we're never sure how many people are going to be in the audience, and while we'd love to see a full house, quite frankly, if we can get just a handful of folks tonight to perhaps consider construction as a career, then we consider this very much a win and very much worth all of our time. As I said, I head the Builders Guild of Western Pennsylvania. We're a labor management organization. We represent and work with virtually all the building trades, and there are 17 of them here in Western Pennsylvania. And then we also work with the contractor associations whose members, the contractors, the employers, have partnered with the unions to basically recruit and train their employees. So we have quite a few people here tonight to talk about the industry, give you a little perspective, maybe shed some light, open some eyes on the industry and the opportunities that are out there, because there really are great opportunities. And you know, sometimes when we come out to some school districts, everyone's being pushed toward college, and that's fine if you have a specific job in mind that you need a college degree. But I think most people in this room would probably know that only about 20 to 30% of the jobs that there actually require a college education. Many do not. And we don't require that in the construction industry. But we do require more education. We do require a lot more training and experience before you can like pick up a hammer and call yourself a carpenter or plug in a lamp and say you're an electrician. There's a lot of work that goes into it, but it can be very rewarding in the end, as you will find out tonight. With us, we have about seven different training directors or their representatives from some of the joint apprenticeship schools. You'll hear that name a lot tonight. Who work in the industry and work with the contractors to train and recruit people. As I said, there's 17 building trade unions. Each one has their own joint apprenticeship school. And it's called joint because it truly is a partnership between the contractors and the building trade unions. They build the centers, they develop the curriculum, they pay for them. There's really no tax money involved in the joint apprenticeship centers. These are all basically privately funded. So they're a great resource, and they're absolutely fantastic training centers, and we'll talk about them a little bit later tonight. But we're fortunate also to have Normally when we do these, we get the training directors to come out and again try to sell their centers. But tonight we have someone from the management side of the industry. One of the best contractors, quite frankly, in Western Pennsylvania. John Mascaro is here. John is the president of Mascaro Construction. Is that the title, John? It is tonight? Okay. John's the president of Mascaro Construction. Of course, Mascaro Construction, if that name rings a bell, they were the contract responsible for building Bethel Park High School. And I think you'd all agree, hopefully, that they're an absolutely fantastic job. So before we talk about how to get into the industry, I'd like John to come up and just spend a few minutes. He's got a few slides to show in a PowerPoint as to his perspective of the industry, the kind of people he's looking for, what it means to be the employer, and then afterwards we'll come back and talk about the specific schools and how your children, or even perhaps some of the parents here, might still want to consider getting into the construction industry. So John, why don't you start us off?
All right, thanks, Jason. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming out today. We appreciate it. Jason talked about the management side, and when there are stereotypes about union management relationships, none of that exists here. None of that. We are business partners, friends, and whatever else with these trades. These guys in Western Pennsylvania are by far the finest trades in the region. We've gone as far as Berlin, New Hampshire, but there's no trades finer than the trades in Western Pennsylvania. And these guys right here get after it. So thank you guys for being great business partners. Without us, without the people out there pounding the nails and building things, we can't build anything. So we thank all the tradesmen who are working on this project to help us build this project successfully, thankfully. Thank you. The boys in the back asked me a couple questions. I said, do you remember Tonka toys? They really didn't remember Tonka toys. So, you know, this industry, the construction industry, I've done it all my life. In 1983, I joined the laborers, and, you know, just have loved this since day one. In this industry, really, what makes it great is clicking here, is this. You have to love construction, getting your hands dirty, really going out there as a team, building a great project. So you really got to start off with it's not a college, not college decision. It's like a career in construction decision. Do you really want to go out there and build great things? Do you want to? We got some of the other points up here. I'm really struggling with this. Do you really want to work with a diverse group of people? Think of the different people you work with. You get to work with the president of this company. You get to work with all groups of people, all types of people. You form a team on a different job. The conditions change every day because you've progressed. You've built something. The site logistics change. It's always changed. It's a challenge. You have to work safely. You have to work with this group of people. Construction will always be needed. There's no doubt about it. You don't need a crystal ball to foresee the future. You need to understand construction will always be needed. Someday, 50 years from now, because we built this so well, hopefully, there'll be renovation work right here. Construction will always be needed. And you need management and trades to do so. I'm struggling again. These trades in Western Pennsylvania, everybody's heard about the oil and gas, Marcellus Shale. These trades really support. We did this study for this workplace committee at the Allegheny Conference, and there was 14 targeted jobs for this region. Those 14 targeted jobs, 50% of those jobs are supported by these trades. They can train the folks to get out there and get work in this industry, and it's booming right now. And if things happen in Beaver County like we think they're going to happen, you know, who knows what's really, you know, the sky's the limit. I believe that one of our studies was there was, between now and 2017, 2 million job openings, 2 million more construction tradesmen needed in the construction industry to meet the demands of the construction coming up. So there's jobs out there for sure as a skilled craftsman. You know, talking about the construction, we're talking about working in the field tonight. But there is working with equipment, manage the project. I kind of made this little spreadsheet here. You know, not really a spreadsheet. And it's the question, this is the question, go to college, not go to college. You don't, their careers in construction. Depends on really what you want to be. We believe this trade, in the trades, we think you can hit all this stuff. Working in the field, working with equipment, managing a project. I'll talk about some of those careers in the future. You know, there's other options as a technical school, getting certified in something. Then there's the college university option also, which every kid's not made to go there. When you talk about college and universities, one of the biggest reasons I wanted to come here was to talk about that. 42% of those who start college don't finish, and I think it's in this 10-county region. 42%. What's that tell you? That tells you that the kids may be going to college, parents may be pushing them to college when they really aren't cut out to go there, really don't want to do there, or really want to do what go to college, period. So there's a viable option as a skilled craftsman working in the construction trades, without a doubt. Now, you know, there is careers in construction as on the college route too. Civil engineers, construction managers, all these degrees can get you there, and you can work in, you know, as a project manager, project engineer, superintendent, these jobs here. But you can also work. We probably have about 20% of our guys in the project manager and below positions that came up through the trades. Matter of fact, 98% of the project superintendents that work for us are carpenters by trade. They came up through the ranks. A couple pictures of the job I'm going to skip through real quick. I'm struggling again, Ricky. The best way to work a job safely, deliver a high level of quality, and get it done on time is to plan to work and work to plan. And due to technology, there's multiple ways for us to do this. And really, most of our projects we build virtually on this computer model, and it's just another option for you out there. Parents, a couple more pictures. I'm not sure what's happening again. There's a good job. I hope everybody's happy with their new school. I showed this to the kids at another presentation. There are possibilities through the trades. Like I said, all those projects, all those opportunities were available for you. But, you know, this is, besides being the skilled craftsman, the journeyman out there, and the guys are going to talk about the apprenticeship and the training that you get, you know, there's opportunities for progression there also. You know, general superintendent, general foreman, a foreman, and journeyman. And that's it. Trust me, this career in construction, just working in construction, I don't think there's another career, another industry, another market that provides the excitement, challenges, diversity than this industry. And we're just thankful to be partners with the building trades here in Western Pennsylvania. Thank you for your time.
You know, you saw the photos of Bethel Park High School, and the first video we showed was obviously the Freedom Tower in New York City being built. And, you know, when we talk about construction, first of all, let's make it clear, we're really talking about commercial and industrial construction tonight. We're really not talking about residential. Okay, we don't really build a lot of homes, single homes. We'll build multiple residences and multiple unit residential pieces, but this is really about getting into the commercial construction side or the industrial section. But when you saw those photos, you know, most people, when they think about construction, they do think about their house. They think about the big three, and I'm sorry for a couple of the guys that are here tonight, but they tend to think about carpenters, electricians, and plumbers. And what you have to understand, those are just three of about 35 or 40 different occupations that make up the construction industry. And as I said, we got 6 or 7 here tonight that you'll hear from in just a few minutes. But I mean, every facet of construction is involved in these projects. So in addition to those threes, I mean, there's the cement masons who are here tonight, the laborers, elevator constructors, sprinkler fitters. Those are all specific trades, and they all pay extremely well. This can be a very rewarding career. In fact, I'm glad the parents are here tonight, because you'll be glad to know that only about 5% of college graduates make more money than people in the union building trades. And I do a lot of recruiting. I talked to a lot of kids. I was down at Washington High School yesterday, and I had a group of about 30 kids, and I said, how many want to go to college? And of course, everybody raised their hand. I said, why? Well, I want to get a good job. I want to make a lot of money. I want to be successful. I said, well, that's not necessarily a reason to go to college. But I said, let's say all you did go to college. You know, only about 5%, only a couple of you are going to make more money than people in the building trades. So first of all, when we talk about this industry tonight, don't think that your son or daughter, and this is not just for men, this is for women as well, and we've got a cement mason here tonight that hopefully we'll get a chance to introduce in a few minutes. But this is an industry, again, that can just pay very, very well. As I said, we have 17 joint apprenticeship training centers where you would learn how to do your specific trade. These centers are much like college. Our programs are on the average about 4 years in length. Some of the programs are 3 years. The iron workers are here tonight. Theirs is a 3-year program. Some are 5 years. The electricians takes 5 years to go through. Now, I know a lot of time kids say, you know, I've just finished up 12 years of primary education. I really don't want to go back to school for 4 more years. I want to start making money immediately. Well, that's the nice thing about getting into this industry, into the joint apprenticeship training schools. You are going to make money immediately because it's paid. You're paid as you go through it. It is a true apprenticeship. You earn while you learn is what we say. So, you know, for those of those who were thinking about going to college, we all know what college is going to cost. You know, $5,000, $20,000, $50,000 a year, depending on where you go. You know, there's another way that John alluded to in one of the slides, and that was about a trade school. And we all have heard some of the trade schools, and some folks go that route, but you know, those are pretty expensive as well. I mean, these trade schools you're talking about $30,000 for about 16 months worth of relatively limited education from our perspective, but that's one avenue. Our schools, I said, these are 4 years long. Does everybody know what the cost to go into these schools? It's nothing. It's free. These are tuition-free training programs. There is no cost other than basically an application fee, and most are $35 or less. That's the out-of-pocket expense to go into one of our schools. So, as I said, these are wonderful facilities. You've probably traveled by many of them every day practically, and you didn't know they were there. We don't necessarily advertise a lot, and we can explain why in a few minutes, but these schools are first rate. John mentioned the Carpenters. I'm sure many of you have seen the Carpenters' new training center out in the Parkway West. As you go towards Robinson Township and the airport, you look on the left-hand side right across from the Campbell's Run Road exit, you'll see the Carpenters Training Center. That's a 93,000, $14 million square foot facility, or 93,000 square foot facility, $14 million. Absolutely state-of-the-art. It's a beautiful facility, and Ricky will tell you a little bit about the apprenticeships that are offered through that center, because there's more than one apprenticeship offered by the Carpenters. But the electricians, they're not here tonight, but they're the IBW, their training centers on the south side, right across from the Hot Meadow Street Bridge. It's about a $7 million complex. We literally have had people from all over the world come in here and tour that facility. It is that state-of-the-art, that good. The ironworkers just are finishing up about a $600,000 renovation to their facility down in the Strip District, right on Penn Avenue. Great facility as well. And all these facilities are really nice. I mean, if you'd see them, it almost looks like a college, not a campus, but college buildings. They are that nice. So we often take kids out to them, and anybody here tonight, I'm sure afterwards, if you want to see some of these centers, we'll be glad to take you through them. So they're very nice. You go through them all the time. So they're great looking buildings. They're free. You're going to get paid as you go through them. And what's the catch? Why wouldn't everyone go to that? Well, because we only take in as many as we can put to work. You know, if you're going to college, if you're going to go to a trade school, there is no guarantee that you're going to get a job. You hope you do, but, you know, you're pretty much going to be on your own. Well, if you get into our program, you're pretty much guaranteed, and I hate to use the word guaranteed because nothing is guaranteed, but it's 99% guaranteed that you're going to have a job for some time to come as an apprentice, because we only take in as many apprentices as we can put to work, because again, it's a true apprenticeship. It is learning on the job. So when I say the average program is about 4 years to complete, first of all, the kids have to understand they're only going to be in those training centers on the average, and it varies a little bit from trade to trade, but on the average they're only going to be at the training center about 5 weeks a year for each of those 3 to 5 years, sometimes even 4 weeks. Maybe a little bit longer, but not much. So on the average, about 5 weeks a year. The rest of the time, we're going to have them working on a job site with a contractor alongside a veteran tradesman, a journeyman. They're going to learn on the job, and they're working for a contractor at that point. So they're getting paid, and the pay is very good right from the start. Our apprentices start roughly between $15 and $25 an hour. After so many hours in the job, they have the full health care, they get a pension that starts building up. Every year they get about a $3 an hour and some cent increase in their paycheck. So by the time they've completed their 4 years of apprenticeship, they will have earned probably about $150,000 to $200,000 in cash instead of having the tuition bills. And they'll be earning roughly $50 to $60 an hour when you include their benefit package. That's why I say only about 5% of college graduates make more money than the people in the building trades. So it pays very well. And it's because of that partnership, again, between labor and management. You know, basically, and what John said is so accurate as far as Western Pennsylvania is extremely unique about how labor and management get along here. I mean, you go to other parts of the country, you will not find a builders guild. You will not find an organization like mine where the business managers and the training directors for the unions sit down every month with the contractors and say, how can we work together to make, in this case, Bethel Parks High School's project a success? What can we do to improve? So the contractors, that partnership started years ago when they went to the unions and said, you find me the best people you can, train them to a level that when I need someone, I know when I hire them, they're going to be well equipped, well trained, they're going to get my job done on time, on budget, and in exchange I'm going to pay them that very respectable wage and benefit package. So that's the partnership there. So we got these great schools. We only take in as many as we can put to work. Now, for the 17 schools this year, that will be about between 700 and 800 apprentices probably. So it's a pretty good number, okay? However, we will get about 5,000 applications for those slots. So it is competitive. So when the catch is, what's the catch? The catch is it's competitive to get in. And again, we're looking for the best. But there's no reason that not every young man or woman in this room tonight can't be one of those folks. I'm going to go through real quickly the procedures to apply to basically any of the 17 centers, and then we'll have each of the representatives come up for just a couple of minutes and tell you specifically about what they do, because it's a lot different than what you might think. Because again, most people are thinking about construction from home construction. We do a lot more than that, okay? So, but everyone has pretty much the same application procedure. There's 5 things the kids have to apply. And when I say kids, it's really any age. I mean, we get a lot of people, quite frankly, in their 30s and 40s that come to us to start a career. It's not uncommon at all, and that's fine. But anyway, you have to be at least 18 years of age. Now, the carpenters and the sheet metal workers, and they're both here tonight, I think you can be 17. But everyone else, you have to be 18 years old. So most of the kids are going to be 18 when they graduate. You have to have your high school diploma or a GED. Everyone here is going to have their Bethel Park diploma. You have to have a valid Pennsylvania driver's license, and that stops a lot of kids in the inner city. Usually it's not a problem when we get onto the suburbs, but it's amazing how many kids in the inner city don't get a driver's license today. But that's a requirement, so you have to have that. Basically, the 4th is we say you have to have suitable transportation, and that essentially means you have to have a car, because obviously this is an industry where you're going to be moving around on a regular basis. And that's something sometimes the kids like. You know, you're not going to the same office every day, punching numbers into a computer that you never know what happens to them. You're going to a different place. Every day is different. It's really exciting. So you basically have to have a car. And the 5th thing you have to be drug-free. Okay, so you do get drug tested on the union side of the business. Okay, because I don't like to say this is a dangerous industry or a dangerous profession, but it is hazardous. Every day there's between 2 and 3 fatalities somewhere on a job site in this country. That's two to three too many, obviously. So that's why so much of our training programs are geared towards safety. You want to make sure that your son or daughter comes home from work the same way he or she came to work. So we really stress safety on the job. But it is hazardous if you don't know what you're doing. So again, we want to make sure everyone is drug-free, has their head screwed on straight. But those are the 5 things. So if someone here wants to be, you know, an iron worker, and you don't know anything about ironworking, you can apply. And you got a good shot at getting in if you meet those 5, and you do well on our aptitude test, because most of the programs, all but 2 exceptions, will give an aptitude test. As I said, we get 5,000 applications for about 700 or 800 positions. So how we make that manageable is they give an aptitude test to some extent to see how primarily your math skills are. So we're looking for kids that have good math skills, and that's primarily algebra and geometry, 9th and 10th grade math. Really isn't trig, certainly isn't calculus, but it is algebra and geometry, so you need to have those 2 things. That's really critical. And then and we also have reading comprehension on this test as well, but again, it's primarily math. The highest scores is who the apprenticeship coordinators bring in to their schools, and they'll sit down with representatives from the union and from the contractors, and basically they're going to sell themselves like they would to any employer. They're going to tell us, quite frankly, that they're worth 4 years of free education, because it costs us about $10,000 to $15,000 a year to train you. So, we don't want to just throw money at something if we don't think it's going to be a good return. So again, we want to make sure we're getting people who really are committed to wanting to do this be best. They're going to show up for work every day. So the kids that are in the audience today, I tell this all the time, one of the most important things all these coordinators are going to look at when you apply to their schools, we need to see if you have self-discipline. The way we're going to measure that, because they're not going to have much of a work history, is their attendance record. So for those who are seniors, you don't have much time to improve on that one, but if there's any sophomores or juniors here tonight, try to have as near perfect attendance. I cannot tell you how important, John, isn't that true as a contractor, how important that is? Because when he's bidding a job, it's based on how many hours and who's on the job at what day, and electricians transfer their work to the carpenters and the bricklayers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we're really looking for the good attendance record as well. If someone does not have good attendance, but there's something else they do that they like to do and it shows that they have that self-discipline, that's something that we'll take into account as well. But those are the two things we're really looking for: good math skills and good self-discipline, which we measure through attendance. So that's the procedure to get in. The applications for each of these are a little different. Maybe they can talk about them when they come up here. But once you put the application in, you'll take the test, hopefully we'll get you in for an interview and get you into the program. And once you're in, you're pretty much going to be set, because we will find the contractors to place the apprentices with. And as long as that apprentice is doing a good job, those contractors, if they have enough work, they'll take them and the journeyman to job to job to job. So they may work for the same contractor for many years. But if they don't, that's where they go back to the union and say, hey, they put me on the out-of-work list, they laid me off, there's no more work, and we place them with a different contractor. So they don't really have to worry about finding their own employer. We will do that for them. Okay? So we'll be around to answer questions afterwards, but let me now ask some of the training directors to come up for just a couple of minutes. And I did want to recognize Senator Smith here tonight. We're really glad that you're here tonight and showing the interest that you always do, and we appreciate your support as well. But let me ask some of the training directors to come up just for 2 or 3 minutes to tell you what they do. Who wants to go first? Ricky O? Yeah, Ricky, since you coordinated this tonight, or you started it. Ricky Okrashevsky. Rich is the training director for the Keystone Mountain Lakes Regional Council of Carpenters. Up until about 2 weeks ago, they were the Greater Pennsylvania, but they now take care of West Virginia and part of Maryland. But Ricky's got multiple apprenticeships under his program that he'll talk to you about.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Jason did a great job of explaining, a lot about how we conduct ourselves and how we do things, but I'll just take a few minutes. Before I get started, though, these type of events for us are wonderful, to say the least. We want to get our word out, and we want to get it out to great audiences so that we can get the top group of people to work in the trade, so we can make money for John Mascaro, so that we can then do it again. That's the key. Do a job and then do it again. That's what we have to do over and over and over for 40 years, and then 40 years afterwards for the people behind us. So it's very important. But nights like tonight wouldn't happen without people like Andy Amron that sees the value in putting things like this together and getting us involved. Andy's been a great friend for a long time and a great proponent for trades and a great help. Also, the guidance counselors here at Bethel Park. I don't know the last name, so I'll apologize to you guys, but, Lori's been great. What I found out is how old I really am, because phone calls do no longer work. If you can't email, you can no longer have a conversation. That's what I'm finding out. So I'm about 5 years out of retirement, and when I retire, the first thing that's going to go is my computer and my email address. Okay, and I'm going to get a telephone, and I'm going to like to go the old-fashioned route once in a while. But Lori's great. She can email you to death, and I answer back in one-word responses. Yes or no, or I guess it should be 3 words maybe. So Lori does great. Mike also has been a great proponent for us. Kristen also, and Bill that heads up the shop here at Bethel Park High School. So it would not be fair if we didn't go on and thank you. And I know that Jason has already thanked Matt but Senator Matt Smith has been a great advocate for us also. It takes a lot to do programs like we do and offer tuition-free programs. It takes people like John Mascaro to want to pay a better wage for a person to work and be a great employee, but also to be able to support the programs that we have. So just real quick before I get into my next couple minutes of shtick here, we spend about $4 million a year at the Carpenters Training Center, okay? So there's 3 centers that we have, one here, one in Altoona, PA, and one in Lebanon, PA. So $4 million a year does not come easy whenever all that money is supported through work hours and man hours. So we have a budget also. When the work is good, it ramps up. When work is slow, we still have to continue training. So we have to work within that budget. So that's just a little bit of that. And just real quickly, I'm going to get moving here. I've been a carpenter for 37 years. I got in 1977. My dad, there's a lot of dads in this room, I'm sure tonight, but my dad was a carpenter, and my dad wanted me to do better. He said, son, I want you to go to college. I want you to do better. So I did. I went to college. I spent 2 years at Robert Morris. I got an associate degree, and I said, Dad, this just isn't for me. I want to do what you do. So I became a carpenter. It's the best move I ever made. Okay, so for the last 37 years, I've been enjoying one of the best businesses I feel there is out there. So that's where I've been. Where have I gone? So I'll tell a little story that will help with the career path. I started out as an apprentice carpenter. I then became a journeyman carpenter, which is what you get after 4 years worth of apprenticeship. And we'll all explain that tonight in different ways, so you'll get the grasp of it. And after a while, you can come to our tables later. But it's a 4-year apprenticeship program. You come to training for 4 weeks out of those years, out of each year, and you accumulate 1,300 hours per year on the job training. That's what you do for the carpenters. So as you advance through those years, you continue to get 4 more weeks of training and 1,300 more hours. After 5,200 hours and 16 weeks of training, you then can be advanced into what's called a journeyman carpenter. If that's not enough for you and you have more of a career ladder you want to climb, you can become a foreman. When you're a foreman, you take care of a small group of carpenters and you manage a certain portion of the job. Say in here, if I was a foreman, I might be in charge of installing those sound panels or installing this seating. That might be my part of the project as a foreman. But if that's not enough for you, I could be a superintendent. A superintendent is who manages all the trades and builds the entire building. So you can keep ramping up in this career ladder as you go. If that's not enough for you, if that's as a superintendent is not enough, and let me just say to you this, for any of the parents that are worried about a career ladder bringing more money to the table, I can tell you right now that as a superintendent to run a job of this size, that guy's not making 39 cents an hour, okay? So you understand that this, to be able to handle a job like this and manage probably 40, 50, maybe even 60 subcontractors on a project of this size and be able to put it together and coordinate it does take the skills of a very skilled individual to make this happen. So there's many levels. If that's not enough, you can go into project management, project estimating, and if that's still not enough for you, many of our carpenters have gone into their own businesses and do their own work and have their own business to manage. So there's a great career ladder. And once again, I don't want to eat up all the time. We talk about not getting college. We all have college credits that we accumulate in our apprenticeship programs. Through the carpenters, you accumulate 30 college credits, which I'm in the process now of wrapping that up to 42 college credits. And then we go on to supporting all the way through an associate degree in construction supervision or construction estimating. Not paid for by the student, but paid for by the collective bargaining agreement that then pays for all those things to get our people up where they need to be. So that's a pretty cool scenario right there. Wages, I'm not going to get into that. We'll talk about wages downstairs if you'd like to stop at our tables, and we'll go over that. But let's talk about a little bit about what's expected of you. You know, whenever they come to our program to test, people want to know what's on the test. Well, you can get on to www.greaterpacarpenters.org and you can get a sample test and take a look at it. But it's primarily mathematics. It's relationships. It's being able to see what something would look like. Did you see that model that John showed? It was called a BIM model. It's Building Information Modeling. What that is that's showing a three-dimensional object it shows a flat image, so a blueprint starts out like this, but John has a developer in his office that's able to take that flat image and turn it into a three-dimensional object, which you can see exactly what happens. That's part of what our test is. Can you see what the flat image will turn into later on? So that's part of it. So those are some of the things that you do to get involved with the carpenters. Also, what's expected of me? To look and act professionally. That's one of the things that we need in the carpenters. Be safe and a productive employee. That's huge to be able to do that. Be responsible for your actions and to manage the actions of other people. Look out for other craftspeople and pedestrians that are around the job site. That's a huge component. Show up to work on time every day and be prepared to do that job. That's huge. Those components are above and beyond the basic skills of a carpenter that you need to have on a regular basis. So again, you know, we all try to curtail things. We'll be able to talk to you downstairs a little more later, but I'd like to turn it over to the rest of the trade people. I'm sorry. Jason helps us stay on track, you know. He keeps us knowing who we are sometimes. You know, as carpenters, people don't realize that we do lots of things. If you think of this, if it was wood once, it's probably part of the trades that we do today. Carpenters are commercial carpenters that build buildings like you're in tonight. They're residential carpenters that do housing, but very little, as Jason had noted before. Pile drivers. How many of you young kids in the room think pile driving is only a wrestling move? Okay. It used to be, okay, but now it's actually what pile drivers do is they drive what are called bearing pile, or they drill caissons, which most of the buildings start off of. If we go to the foundation drawings of this building, there's probably either piling or caissons underneath it that start the structure coming out of the ground solidly. So those are pile drivers. Why is it carpenters? Because they used to be made out of wood. Wooden trees were driven into the ground. Okay, and then you started things off the top of that. Millwrights. Millwrights are who we can thank for having the lights inside our building here tonight. So millwrights work on power plants, and they put the turbines in power plants, and that's part of the carpentry program. We're standing on a carpet, and we see the different types of flooring, except for the terrazzo. We're going to give that to Kurt and Ronnie. Okay, so the terrazzo that you walk in on doesn't belong to the carpenter, but the floor covering and vinyl tile belong to the carpenter, and also the heavy highway carpenters, the guys that do the bridges and the roadways. So the carpenters have 6 solid trades. We dabble into the residential market, but very little. Okay, so that's all under the carpenter's wing, and that's what we train in the building that you see on the Parkway. So that being said, you know, we can meet you all downstairs and talk a little bit more later. And I hate to eat up the time. I could start singing and everything else, but I don't think you'd want that.
That's enough of that. If he's going to start singing, I'm taking the microphone off. Thanks, Ricky. But as you get a real quick sense, there's a lot more to carpentry than hammer and nails. Man, sometimes carpenters hardly ever touch wood anymore, between metal studs and whatnot. So a lot more to it than you think. All right, let's hear a little bit from the bricklayers, okay? And that's a lot more than bricklayers. But again, those apprenticeship programs, those are separate apprenticeship programs, so you don't learn all of them. You learn one. You know, I know we often get kids and we'll say, well, what can you do? Well, I can do everything. Well, that means you're not good at anything. We need you to specialize in something. So again, each of those apprenticeships is its own specialty, and you'd want to pick one of those. But here's the bricklayers. Kurt Keller.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Kurt Keller. I'm the apprentice training coordinator for the Bricklayers and Allied Crafts. Similar to the carpenters, it's more than just bricklaying. The Allied Crafts consists of terrazzo, ceramic tile, stonemason, PCC, which is pointer, caulker, cleaner. So to go over some of the trades, kind of, you know, Ricky really touched base on everything you have to be. And one thing I want to add to that, everything you do now in life follows you forever. And I'm referring to the drug tests and stuff we do on the jobs, getting into trouble, getting into fights. We do work at universities, hospitals, schools. If you have a record or background that shows you don't have good character and you can't pass those background checks, you're not going to work. Pretty simple. You can get in. You could pass the test to get in the union. You're not going to get the clearances to work on the jobs. So everything you do now affects you the rest of your life. So whatever you do in life, stay clean, you know, for all you can do. Anyway, to cover what a bricklayer does, walk around the building. The whole outside is brick and block. The little wall right in the back is block. All your floors, I noticed out in the hallways, are Trazo. Trazo is a mixture, at least that Trazo is an epoxy with marble chips or granite chips in it, and they put it down, they flatten it out with a trowel, and then they grind it down and polish it, and that's what gives you that finish. Your ceramic tile, most ceramic tiles done on the interior of the buildings. You'll see those in your bathrooms, kitchens. So if you're going to be a tile setter, most of your work will be on the interior. If you're going to do brick and block, you're not too often are you at ground level. You're going to do your first 4 foot, then you're going to be on scaffolding most of the time. Stone work, a lot of that work can be heavy. Although you can do inside work, you can do marble floors, granite countertops, or you can do the exterior of the building. So the stone craft kind of goes interior, exterior, whatever, wherever the work is on that job. Pointer, caulker, cleaner, they do the restoration. Mr. Mascara was talking about, years from now it may need some maintenance. Well, they do a lot of the older buildings in downtown Pittsburgh. The federal courthouse, built in 1884. We renovated the whole thing. So you get, you're usually high up on a scaffold. The pointer, caulker, cleaners either cleaning the building, cutting out the old mortar or caulk joints, and then putting that stuff back in. So, the trades, as far as you want to go, like Ricky said, you can keep going. You start your apprenticeship, it's 4 years. So you want to be a stonemason, you finish your apprenticeship as a stonemason in 4 years. And then you want to cross-train. Well, maybe you're interested in ceramic tile. Maybe you want to do some restoration work. Then you can cross-train into some other trades. But you first have to be proficient in the trade that you pick your apprenticeship for. Our apprenticeship was also a 4-year program. It's a little different. We have 15 hours of work, 1,500 hours of work a year, 144 hours of school. That bumps you up to the next level. And then after 4 years, you go to your full journeyman rate. Then we have training after you're a journeyman. We offer a certified welding program. We have blueprint programs, estimating programs. So you can keep going after you're a journeyman as far as you would like. So if we need some more information, we'll be downstairs when you're through, and I hope you guys want to stop by and learn more. Thank you.
All right, and Kurt's school, by the way, is located in Monroeville. Although once you get into the program, your first 8 weeks will be at the International Masonry Institute, which is down in Bowie, Maryland. So, but the rest of your training will be out in Monroeville. Let's go over to this side for a second. Volunteers, any volunteers? All right, Mark Ferrari from the Laborers District Council of Western Pennsylvania. Mark's school is located out in Saxonburg.
Thank you, everybody. Welcome, and thank you for having me this evening. I'll kind of make it short and sweet. I am from the Laborers. I am the administrator and training fund director. We have a training center out in Saxonburg. We cover all of Western Pennsylvania. We cover 33 counties, 13 locals within those 33 counties. When you think about a laborer, we do a lot of different vast tasks. I mean, we're on the roads and bridges, doing new construction, renovation, demolition, working with the carpenters, the electricians, the iron workers. So we kind of all work together a lot of times. We pour the concrete. In demolition, we do a lot of cutting and burning. We do a lot of rod tying on the roadways and the bridges. That's on the heavy side. We also work in the buildings with the carpenters and the other trades. We work on scaffolds. We do a lot of building. In the environmental science field, we have a lot of abatement work, asbestos, lead, hazardous waste. We work with a lot of utilities. So we have a lot of opportunity out there, and it's not just one facet of work. You have a broad range of things that you can get into in the laborer's trade. We also have an apprenticeship program, very, very similar to a lot of the other crafts. There's 288 classroom hours that's required with 4,000 field time hours. We don't really have a requirement as hours per year. You just have to get 288 hours within the time frame of you to graduate with your 4,000 field time hours. Just a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit more if you stop at our table about the training that we do offer. We have 40 different training classes out there, from the heavy highway building trades to blueprint reading to rod tying to concrete work to all the environmental skills. All of our material is third-party accredited by a third-party accrediting agency. Our instructors are going through one of the more rigorous training requirements out there. They are now all going to be ANSI certified instructors. So it's a very, very prestigious thing that our instructors are going through, and they're going through that process right now. So if you have an opportunity, stop down at our table, and we'll talk to you more. I've got a lot of information down there about the different classes that we offer. And some of the different things that we do. I've got, if you want to visit a website, laborpa.org, it talks a lot about our apprenticeship program, a lot about the training center itself. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about that if you come down to our table. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity, and you guys have a great evening.
All right, terrific. All right, well, he mentioned about pouring concrete. You got to finish that concrete too. So why don't we ask Ron Stefanik to come up right now? Ron's the training director for Cement Masons. And he's got a guest with him. Karen, you going to come up, or are you just going to stay bashful and sit there? All right, Ron.
You guys are a hard act to follow. Anyhow, I'm the apprentice coordinator for the Cement Masons. Our apprenticeship is a 3-year course. Here again, whenever they touch base, it's all free. It's paid for by our journeymen, and it's a very nice opportunity. I look at this time in history as very exciting for young people. There's so much opportunity, whether it be Marcellus Shell or no roadblocks for young people in any way to get into the trade. I, like some of the others, went to college for 4 years. Went to IUP, took business management. At that point in time, Vietnam was going on, and I got drafted after school. Luckily, I didn't. The war was over by then, and I went to work for B&W. But as I sat in the office and ran the management part of it, I yearned to be outside doing different things. And then that's when I chose to come into the trades. Naturally, my father was a cement mason too, so it helped me to nurture that kind of feeling, I guess. But anyhow, going on to what we do as a cement mason. As the concrete comes out of the truck, we level, we smooth, we can polish the concrete, we can make it look like a mirror. We do beautiful outdoor work. I mean, some of the stuff that you see here around the school is our canvas, our way of showing that we can do this kind of artwork. And it makes me very proud when I look around to see such a beautiful building. That's what floats my boat. That's what gets me excited, and that's the excitement I want to convey to these young people. This is an exciting trade. There's excitement all the time. You're meeting new people. You're going to different jobs, and so when I work with these young people and with my apprentices and everything, I tell them to be enthusiastic, show that excitement, and I like enthusiasm is a word derived from the Greeks, meaning to be inspired by God. And I like that part of it. I like that part of what the Greeks have said. Also, to quote Steve Jobs, he says, you can only do good work when you love what you do. I think John touched on that a little bit in his, as far as loving what you do. The worst thing you could do is maybe go to school and do something and not like it. Follow your heart. That's what I tell my apprentices. The other thing, as far as coordinating with our contractors, I have a little phrase I tell my apprentices: go out there and be so good that he wants to put a ring on your finger and he doesn't want to get rid of you. You know what I'm saying? Is so if you go out there and you do everything you're supposed to do and you show enthusiasm, that guy's not going to want to let you go. But in case at some point in time when the project's finished and you do get on the out of work list, that's what the union hall is, your lifeline. Your lifeline being that when you do well and the contractors make money, we have approximately 385 signatory contractors out there. And somebody's always looking for a cement mason. Somebody's always looking for a carpenter, whatever. So as long as we do the things that we have to do to keep our partnership with the contractors, that's going to perpetuate unionism on planet Earth. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce my union sister, and she'll tell you about her experiences in the construction field. And it's Karen. Thank you, Karen.
My name is Karen Devine, and my big emphasis is I'd like to get more women into the trades. I went to college, graduated from Pitt, went to Robert Morris, graduated from there, had a good life. I was in finance in Manhattan, had a great place overlooking the East River, and then 9/11 happened. I lost a lot of good friends, and it made me look at my life a lot differently. And Jason knows this story, but I always say, how many $700 pair of shoes did I need? That whole thing made me start looking at things and looking at my life that I wanted to have something to show for. When working on Wall Street was a very financially fruitful career, but I really didn't have anything to show for. It's just digits. I had no stories that I did anything to make the world better. I didn't make anything. I came back home. My dad was sick and took care of him, and I thought retirement at 40 would be great. They always say, be careful what you wish for, you just might get it. And I found I had to do something. My dad was a union man, so I said, I'm going to try a union trade. Went through all the different unions, took their tests, whatever. Came down to cement masons. They were a little different. They were a little tough on me. They didn't really want me, I don't think. And I'm one of those kind of gals who is like, well, just because you don't want me makes me want to do it that much more, to prove to you that women can do everything a man can do. And so I go into my apprenticeship. Wasn't easy. I think in our union, we have 2 women. We are 1/2 of 1%. Not a good number. I would love to have a lot more, but it is a tough job. But it's not everyone is cut out to go to college. Not every woman is cut out to be a hairdresser, a nurse, a secretary, home care. Someone who wants to do something different. Someone who isn't afraid to go out there and have to prove yourself. And you do have to prove yourself every single day. I've been in the hall 12 years. I went through the apprenticeship. As time went on, I became a lead finisher. Time went on, I became a foreman. But every time I walk on a job site, I'll hear someone say, it's a girl. I mean, that's what they see. They don't see that all the skills I have. So you do have to always prove that you are better than the guy next to you. But there's so many good things that come from that. You have self-confidence. You learn a skill that you would never learn if you weren't in a union. Non-union companies, they see a woman, they don't want you. I have a skill that I can take if I choose to live in Pittsburgh or if I choose to live in New Orleans or LA, I can take my union book and I can transfer it to anywhere in the country. So if you get married and you want to go and follow your husband, he gets transferred, your job isn't done. You can move on. You can always have a job as long as you got that union book. 2, I don't think there was a report that just came out that women make 78 cents to every dollar. Not here in the union. I make the same amount of money as the guy next to me. There's no discrepancy. There's no discrimination on that. As long as you can do your job, you're going to get paid the same amount as that guy. Another thing, a lot of younger people don't know about it, but there's parents in the audience. Say you get married, you want to have kids, you want to take some time off. A lot of women, when they come back, they're on the mommy track. They're not coming back in at the same salary they were before, probably making less, and they're always having to prove themselves that, oh, just because you're a mother, you could still do it. There's no mommy track in the unions. I come back, even if I'm gone 5 years, as long as I keep my book, I come in and I make that same wage as the guy next to me. And that's one of the few things that I could say that you won't find anywhere else, whether you're in college, whether you're get your PhD. You do have that equality. I know that it's not the dream of every parent to have their daughter come out on a construction site. It's a little scary at first. You're dealing with a bunch of guys. When guys get in a group, let's face it, their IQ goes down about 25 points. All right? All of a sudden, things they would never say to you alone, all of a sudden becomes appropriate. But you build a little shell on yourself and you learn to handle it. And when you learn to handle it, you learn how to handle other aspects of your life. Not everything's got to be a fight. You learn how to deal with people. And that's something that I wish if we had more women in the trade, that I would think that there wouldn't be some of the problems that we have. Women, any woman in this audience knows we by far are better at multitasking. When there's a crisis in the family, who takes care of it? Mom. It's Mom. She's handling every day in the office, at her job, still taking care of the house, takes care of the kid, and takes care of whatever comes up. She's a go-to person. And that is the kind of skills that you need when you're working, especially in our trade, and being a cement mason, because every day it's different. Today I might be pouring concrete. I personally do heavy highway. I like to say that I'm rebuilding America one bridge at a time. Some days you're grinding concrete. Some days you're setting forms. Sometimes you're pouring steps. Sometimes you're doing stamped concrete. There's so many different aspects of concrete that people just don't realize. I love it. It's a good job. I make a good living. I have a beautiful house out in Jefferson Hills. I had to say it was one of the best decisions I made was to become a cement mason. There's days, not so much, but I am truly glad that I made that decision. As I tell people, I love the smell of wet concrete. That's the smell of a new beginning. That's the smell of the foundation of something new, something that you're going to improve. When I see a concrete truck driving down the road, I turn my head. I'm like, whoa, who's pouring concrete? And why am I not on that job? It's just something to... When I left Wall Street, like I said, I didn't have anything to show for what I did. I do now. I rebuilt the Boston Bridge. I built that North Shore connector. I was there for just about every yard of concrete that went in there. I rebuilt highways, the Parkway, whatever. Probably the ones that you drove past, yelled and screamed at me because, wow, how come the traffic's being held up? How come it's taking so long? But I'm proud of that. 40,000 people a day go across Boston Bridge. That was because of me. I was an integral part of getting that done. So if you want some kind of fulfillment of saying that you did something, and especially that you did something that a man did, then the trade is for you.
Thank you, Karen. I mean, I think she's a great story. When I first met her and she told me how she came back to Pittsburgh and decided to go into construction, and of all the trades she chose, that's probably the last one I would have thought she would have gone into, but she's been doing it for 12 years now, and she loves it. And about 3% of our apprentices are women today, so it has improved a little bit, but there's still plenty of opportunities if anyone want to do it. We have two more to speak. Before I do, I want to ask Senator Smith to come up. I know he may have to run, so I want to say a few words first.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll be brief. I know you want to hear from the experts, but I would just add my perspective. I'm a 1991 Bethel Park high school graduate, grew up right over the hill on Spartan Drive, and I've gotten to know the building trades and on the labor side and on the management side, folks like Mascaro Construction, and during the last 7 years as a House member and now in the State Senate. And the really unique thing about what these guys do and gals do day in and day out is they invest back in their apprenticeship programs. They invest back in their people, and not every business and not every or all the labor organizations, but not every organization can say that. And I would just emphasize that if you're interested in going into being a carpenter or a cement mason or an electrician or a plumber or a laborer or any of the fields that we've heard from tonight and those that we haven't heard from tonight, go out and visit their training centers. As Jason said, they have unbelievable training centers, each and every one of them in this particular area that has a training center. They've all invested back in those training centers, and they are amazing facilities with amazing instructors that will be able to provide you with a career path, and not just a skill for that particular moment, but what they're able to do is provide you with a craft that you'll be able to build your career around. And these careers are family sustaining jobs, great benefits, great wages. As Ricky said, allow for that career ladder where you can move up in the profession if that's what you're interested in. So, I think it's a really unique opportunity for those of us here in Western Pennsylvania where we do have a wonderful relationship between labor and between management. It's not like that in every area, as was said earlier. It's like that in Western Pennsylvania, and we've got great things happening in Western Pennsylvania with the energy industry. Hopefully great things will happen with the plant in Beaver County that will employ thousands of individuals over the next 5 to 10 years just building that particular plant. So it's a really exciting time to go into these particular professions. They're great professions. They're professions where the money that is made will be reinvested in these training and apprenticeship programs. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity. I think it's great that Bethel Park, all of the guidance counselors got together, Dr. Rose got together and presented this as an opportunity to all the students in Bethel Park. So for me, it's an honor to be here, certainly an honor to say a few words. And again, I would encourage you, if you're interested, don't just go to the tables outside, but actually go visit the training centers, see the men and women in action at those training centers, both on the apprentice side and on the instructor side. They're really doing amazing things. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator. Really appreciate, again, your support. Okay, two more real quick. Jim Kirsch. Jim is with the Steamfitters, and their training center is right at the end of the Fort Pitt Bridge. You've probably gone past it many times. Big black and gold sign there, Steamfitters Local 449, right on Route 51 and the Fort Pitt Bridge. But Steamfitters doesn't necessarily tell you too much about what they do, but Jim can fill in the rest.
Thank you, Jason, for taking most of my material. I appreciate that. Anyhow, what is a Steamfitter? Steamfitters are everywhere you go. You just can't see everything that we do. We work in hospitals, schools, college dormitories, grocery stores, industrial parks, power plants, Marcellus Shale sites, just a number of different things. Some of the things we do, we work on the piping systems and the mechanical systems that operate in some of these different areas. Steam systems, hydraulics, hydronics, natural gas, chilled water for cooling, condenser water that operates in cooling towers, steam for heat, steam for power, refrigeration systems for cooling at the grocery store. There's just so many different things. All the piping, the different types of piping, interconnecting, carbon steel, plastic, copper, stainless steel, and any number of different ways to fasten this piping. Welding, mechanical joints, gluing, plastic fusion, which is basically just melting things together, but all of the rigging and, just it's a very diverse trade, and like some of these other guys said, it never gets old. Sometimes you're doing different things every day. You can be welding one day, you can be working with a crane another day, but I would love to tell everyone more about what we do and some of the opportunities that could be in front of you. We do tours. Everyone here would love to give you a personalized tour of the facilities. There are people in this room that have toured some of the facilities, but we all like to brag about our school, so come down and see us. Come down and see me at the table. I'd love to tell you more if you're interested. Thank you.
Thanks, Jimmy. All right, last but not least, you heard Matt and some of us talking about, the industrial side, and you heard about the potential cracker plant. One of the things that's going to be needed if that project happens, and knock on wood, it will. There's probably going to need about 3,000 welders for that job. And that's going to be something that's going to be a challenge. I'm sure we can do it, but it's going to be challenging for us. One place where we get those welders is the iron workers. And I'm going to ask Jim Gallick to kind of close up the discussion of the different trades about what an iron worker does. Better Like Heights.
Good evening. I'm Jim Gallick. I'm with the Iron Workers, and my wife and I, we raised 4 children, so I understand how precious your evening time can be trying to juggle everybody's schedule, so I appreciate you giving us a few hours of your time tonight. Does anybody know what our motto is? Have you ever seen it on the Penguin games or hear our commercials? Anybody want to know what our motto is? Not you, Jason. Our motto is, we don't go to the office, we build it. And that's what we do. I'm not going to tell you about much how our program works. You've heard it from everybody. They did a great job explaining how apprenticeship works. I'll just tell you quickly about our trade and close here. But we don't go to the office, we build it, and it's really an exciting career. I know John, in his opening presentation, he mentioned the excitement of being out on different job sites and the challenges that change every day being on a job site. You know, this was my favorite time of year as an iron worker. There was nothing better than getting up early, getting into the city before everybody else, and on a nice crisp spring morning and being 10, 12, 14 stories in the air, and you see the city starting to bustle and come to life beneath your feet, and you're above it all, and it's just a great, exciting career. As iron workers, naturally, we build structural steel structures. We build skyscrapers. We build steel bridges. Everybody knows us for that. But we do some other things as well. On any building foundation where there's concrete, we install the reinforcing steel. On any outside of the building, if you go on any skyscraper in Pittsburgh and you see the exterior, if it's made out of steel and aluminum panels, we build those as well. And in addition, we're in the industrial facilities. We keep the steel mills working. We keep the power plants going. We keep the furnaces operating. We maintain the overhead cranes. So we do a lot in the industrial market as well. So like I say, if you really want an exciting career, come see us at our table. We have what you're looking for. And just to touch base on something else John said in his presentation, you know, in construction, the sky's the limit. And to give you an example of this high school, I know John's company built this high school, but one of his subcontractors was Century Steel Erectors. They put the steel framing up for this structure. And they're probably one of the largest steel erectors in the United States. And it's a family-owned business of Bethel Park natives. The owner of Century, all his children went to Bethel Park High School. And many years ago, the owner started, as I did, as a first-year apprentice, not knowing anything about the trade, came into the apprenticeship program, started to learn as an iron worker, and like I say, the sky's the limit. Literally, with our occupation, the sky is the limit. And, you know, he's now one of the owners of one of the largest steel erectors in the United States. So the sky's the limit. If you want a nice, exciting career, come down, see me at our table at the end of this presentation. And also, on April 25th, we have an open house at our training center. We're down in the Strip District, right in the heart of the Strip. If you want to come down and see us, mark it on your calendars from 9 to 1:30. We have a nice hot catered lunch. Come down if you want to see what our training facility is about. You're all welcome to come, and hope to see you downstairs and hope to see you at our open house. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jim. And I want to thank all the coordinators for coming tonight and sharing their stories with you. You heard a lot of information on the different schools. There was quite a few that aren't here tonight, but I have information on all those downstairs as well. So if you came here hoping to hear about the electricians or insulators, we didn't talk about insulators, or, as I said before, sprinkler fitters, elevator operators, or elevator constructors, I have information on those. So we'll be glad to share that with you. Just a couple closing statistics you might want to think about. We've talked about a lot of people going to college. That's fine. Quite frankly, we have a lot of college graduates now that make up the building trades. And first of all, we have about 40,000 building trades workers in Western Pennsylvania. But again, we cover all of Western Pennsylvania. In fact, carpenters go well beyond that. But roughly, we're 35 counties strong and about 40,000 members. But the other day, I know one of the trades was doing interviews, and I can't remember how many applicants they had, but 40% of them had a 4-year college degree. So we're getting a lot of guys and women that come out of college with their debt. Jobs weren't there. Jobs got outsourced overseas. and now they said, hey, you know, I did always like construction, never thought about it. Now I know a little bit more about it, and now they're getting into our industry. So our average apprentice is 27 years old. We don't often get kids right out of high school in some cases, but there's no reason why you can't. You know, again, if you really want to do it. But you do have to like this. We've talked a lot tonight about the wages and what a great living you can make. It's true, but it is hard work. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. I mean, this was a great example of a tough year to work in construction. You know, you got to deal with the cold and the heat and whatnot. So believe me, you do earn your pay. But it can be a very rewarding career for all the reasons you heard tonight. Again, we thank you for listening. We will all be downstairs. Come on down for 5 or 10 minutes, whatever you want. We'll be glad to share whatever information we have, and hopefully we can get you into the trades. So thanks again for listening.